And all I remember is I wanna be like that. Well, I think you're crazy. I think you're crazy. I think you're crazy. Just like me. I remember when that song came out. We play that song over and over again. So what I'm thinking is how enormously important it is that we have friends, that we experience friendship in this thing we call the world, in this life, the way that we be, and interact with each other. I think it's really super important, right? I think it's one of the most important things is that we discover and we find out, we receive, we understand how to interact with each other. And the benefit of the journey that takes us on, I don't think it can really be quantified. I don't believe that to really be possible for me to fully understand and fully speak about how important it is that I have a relationship with someone, friendship, and the gain, the benefit, the sincere, rapturous opportunity that is available in knowing, that I am not alone. The sheer quality of the immense benefit of that is enormous. And oftentimes I think that we don't actually fully receive things that we think we do as human beings, as individuals. We don't know so much about the unification principle, the reality that all things are occurring at once and therefore our benefit, and that there is unity in our being, who we are, who we've chosen to be, and even the power within that. So I feel like sometimes that I'm supposed to tell stories about my experiences of listening to NPR. So I listen to NPR a lot because I have been driving in my car for work for, basically since 2020. I just discovered how immensely valuable I find it to be able to do whatever I want, to make money whenever I want. I can jump in my car at any time and almost anywhere on the planet and be able to make money instantly. And so once I realized that infinite opportunity, I began to let go of politics, and that helped me to understand the unification of my consciousness with other people's consciousness, rather than the box, thing that would come into play, and the continuous nature of me needing to go somewhere and have this gigantic delay in my physical receiving of it. I began to realize that the food delivery, that Uber and Lyft lifestyle was made for me, and it freed me to be able to interact with people in higher minded ways, and I could choose to do whatever I wanted with every second of my life, in monetary terms, in spiritual terms, in physical terms, in mental terms, it freed me. And it freed me to be able to have relationships, for me to grow, for my relationship experiences to grow, for me to become more honorable in how I treat people and how I listen and how I cause interaction. You know, it really freed me. It put me in the place that I truly, truly wanted to be, which was in a space of freedom. And so what I find now is that this experience of joyful honor, it basically gives me a chance to completely know myself more than if I was going to be consistent about going somewhere in order to do the same thing. It's about simplicity. I believe everything about our lives is about simplicity. It's about how much can I simplify, how completely and how enormously fully can I cause simplicity. And so I'm listening to NPR, and they oftentimes have these racial subject lines that they go into. And so this lady was talking about long COVID and black people, and how her community went to bat for her when she had long COVID, and it seemed as though she could not get that kind of help from the government. You know, she made references to the government not standing up for her or for black people or for Mexican people. She feels like she was left out in some way. And she got COVID, and then she got long COVID, and maybe she still has it because that's the nature of it, if I'm not mistaken. And so she was talking about a book that she'd written, and I don't have facts, and it would be beneficial if I had facts, but I don't know if I definitely want to do this again or not, but I will explore it, telling about my story of listening to NPR. And so what happened is, within me, I began to listen to her, and I heard her say some things that were fear-based. She was worried about living. She was worried about her life and how people were treating her, and she equated that to being black, and felt that there was a need for people to understand that she needed help, and she feels as though she still needs help in order to live. And so her people, her community, she called it, the people that she lived around, went to bat for her, her students even. She was a teacher at some time. Former students and colleagues and family members went to bat for her and helped her and gave her benefit. 30 people, she said. And she said that they helped her stay alive. And she made reference to feeling like people don't normally do that. And that in the black community, she felt as though it was not something that she was used to. That it was strange, and she choked up and almost cried as she was telling her story. And what that caused me to think about is the reality that I find myself in, where she said something about being disconnected. She said sometimes we find ourselves disconnected, and I think she was talking about more than just black people, but she did say that. And when she said that, I thought to myself, I don't find myself disconnected. I don't live a separate life. And I thought that had to do with my consciousness when she said that, and I felt sorry for her in that moment, because she hasn't expanded her consciousness to understand that she's never alone by my listening to her statements. That's what I would believe. So I wondered, and I wanted her state of mind. I wondered about what it was, and I wanted it to expand. I wanted her to feel the pressure of security and the realization that she's not alone. And I thought to myself, I do live a different life than a lot of people. My life is different. The way I live, the way I think is different. And this led me to also feel a great moment of honor, a great deal of honor, for having found something like dream weaving, you know, this 1440 Divine Family experience. And so now I realize how important it is for us to see that we are giving people something, when we are blowing, when we are sharing, we are giving people something that is so important. It's the realization that they are not alone, even if they choose to say something negative or they don't want to receive the way that we want them to receive dream weaving when we blow to them, when we talk about it. And so it's a sacred economy that we're creating. We're not creating a sacred, perfect union or a sacred, perfect way of interacting or a sacred, perfect way of causing people to speak to us the way we always want them to speak to us and believe in us and trust us. We're not creating that. The overarching experience is that we're creating something that already exists, and we're just reacting and responding in different ways to our realization of that which already exists. And so that is connection, that is unity. And this woman seemed to not know that. She seemed to not know that there is no her community, there is no black people versus. She seemed to not understand that. And I thought to myself, how many other people don't understand that? People who think that there's something shady going on within my heart if I tell them about dream weaving, or if I don't understand the way the world works. Then that would be what leads me to talk to someone about something like this. And then they would want to run from me and disconnect from me and treat me as their enemy. So this has happened. But then also it's happened that people have sought out my beingness because they wanted me to be a part of their experience. You know, they reached for me. And so that's honorable. I am honored to have that experience, to be able to receive that from others. And so this is just me referencing and realizing the importance of finding something that speaks this language and that makes my life easier, and honoring it. And honoring all those with who I choose to share it with, honoring their response. Sacred no, sacred yes, sacred maybe, sacred not right now, sacred that's a pyramid scheme. You know, whatever the reaction might be, there's always the love and the unity that is found in that communication.